Hey there, just a quick reminder, we have a mentorship program if you're looking for personalized coaching and mentorship to help guide you to the next level of your interior design business, whatever that might look like for you, whether it's processes and procedures or what services to offer to how to incorporate wellness, intention, or spirituality into your projects. Come join us over at designcoven.com/join. Or if you're just in search to connect with other like-minded interior designers, you can join our free community, also located at designcoven.com/join. Hello there. We have a special episode for you all today. We are sharing our recording of Tarot Tuesday, which happens the first Tuesday of every month on Patreon. So if this is the first Tuesday, we have a Tarot Tuesday tonight. This is a recording with Eric, who is the creator of Ink Witch Tarot. Eric is a 2D artist living in Norman, Oklahoma. He works in the Oklahoma City area both as an independent artist and a member of Art Group OKC. He graduated from the University of Oklahoma in 2016 and has exhibited at the Fred Jones Jr. Museum of Art and the IAO Art Gallery, as well as several non-traditional venues, including the Bigfoot Creative print shop and the offices of Skyline Ink illustrations. We get to play with the Ink Witch Tarot, talk to Eric about his inspiration, where he gets all these beautiful ideas and his techniques. And then he also is sharing a new deck that he's currently in the process of making, which I'm so excited about. And then we also get to have fun and we play. So we pull cards for everybody that is on the call. Everyone gets to ask a question and we pull cards to get some insight from both Eric and myself. And you're all welcome to join us for the next Tarot Tuesday on Patreon, which is located at patreon.com/bewitching. And you can join us there. If you are a tarot deck or an oracle deck creator and would love to join us on Tarot Tuesday to be featured, please let me know. I'd love to have you. You can send me an email at Rachel Larraine @gmail.com. And that's RACHELLARRAINE @gmail.com. So I hope you enjoyed this episode as much as I enjoyed having Eric join myself and my group on Patreon. You're listening to the Holistic Interior Design Business Podcast. This is a podcast that guides you as a new or inspiring independent interior designer navigating your entrepreneurial path. Here, with my over 20 years experience, I will share my holistic approach to design with intention and ancient practices, including Feng Shui, all incorporating mind, body, and spirit into my design projects. You will also learn from seasoned interior designers as they give strategies and insight of how they built their businesses and continue to work in the field. Together, we will discover supportive trade partners, new ideas, creatives, and inspiring artists from around the world. I am your host, Rachel Larraine Crawford. Alrighty, welcome to Bewitching the Home. We have a special episode today. This is a recording from our Tarot Tuesday that happens every first Tuesday of the month. With my Patreon group, we have a tarot creator come on and we pull live cards, and yeah, it's just a lot of fun. So we've got Eric from the Ink Witch Tarot deck on today with us. So we'll dig into the cards, what he's doing. And before we do that, we of course will set our stage. I'm just going to go ahead and ring our bell, connecting us to the present moment, being in our body. We will go ahead and light our candle. I, of course, have my Mithras ritual candle. I always recommend having a candle that you work with, when pulling cards or just creating sacred space, just to have that as your reminder of going into a very liminal space here. Let's go ahead and light them. I love working with fire. It's just that beautiful creative energy. Just calling in the spirits for our best and highest good, any of our ancestors, spirit guides, and releasing anything that's dense or heavy. All right. Today I am drinking Nova Kombucha, of course, and it's the alcoholic one because we're in the evening. I'm having a little bit of fun here. So I've got the cactus fruit, agave, and jalapeno. I love anything that's spicy and citrusy, and cactus. That sounds all amazing. I need all the probiotics I can get. So Eric, what are you drinking over there?
I am just drinking like this lavender chamomile tea, since it's kind of usually I drink tea for caffeine, but since it's kind of late, I thought I'd do that instead so that I'm not up until 4 a.m.
Yeah, for sure. That sounds so good. Chamomile lavender. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead. Let's pull our card just for this session. Of course, we're going to be pulling cards later as well for everybody that's on our call here on Patreon. Let's just see what we got. I'm going to pull the card right side up because that's just how I like to do it. And I have, you have one edition of Inkwood Tarot, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
I made some extra cards later, but it's not a separate edition.
Got it. All right, so we got the first edition here. Yeah. Oh, Queen of Swords. Some Jonah art going on here, yeah?
That's who that is.
Yes. Amazing. So just that beautiful leadership skill, connecting with her voice, connecting with activism, connecting with that passion. And it's not just, passion in the sense of that fire element, but it's also passion with like the mind and like really moving forward with logic and strategy and being really smart about it. She's not after anything because, she's come with anger or that kind of thing. I mean, there may be some of that, but what I'm seeing here is just this like really sharp focus with the mind and really going after it in that sense. And you can tell me, Eric, is there anything else that you kind of was channeling in when you created this card?
No, I feel like that was perfect.
Uh...
I chose Joan of Arc just because I feel, as much as Joan of Arc probably would really like to be represented on a tarot card, I feel like she's a really good sort of model for like that Queen of Swords idea of just really fighting for what you believe in and knowing that what you are fighting for is like very deep in your heart, what you feel is right.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh my God, this is such a beautiful card. I'm going to keep it out just so that we have her energy hanging out with us here. So Eric, it's been a year since you've been on with us, but a lot of people were not with us at that time. So I would love to kind of go back a little bit and, talk about where you are in the world. What does home mean for you? And then let's get into some of these cards.
Sure. So I am in Oklahoma. Geographically, that's where I live. I live in like the Oklahoma City area. I've been living here for a long time. Home is always kind of like a weird word for me, I feel like, because I've moved around a little bit. I actually just moved into the apartment I live in now, not that long ago. So home, I feel like I find a lot more in just kind of like who is around me and what's going on in my life, which has all been fortunately very nice lately. Like I said, I just moved into a new apartment. I have studio space that is its own space and not just like a corner of the room for the very first time in my life, which is excellent. So that has been fantastic. It's helped me get a lot done lately.
Oh my gosh, I can imagine you just had that separation of space. So being able to be super focused while you're in one space versus the other, and versus like this mix of all things and then having to juggle.
Exactly. Like when I was finishing my tarot deck, my workspace was literally a couple feet away from where I slept, which wound up being really unhealthy. I already have kind of a hard time falling asleep at night. And so sleeping in such a way where like I was looking literally just a few feet away at all of the work that still had to be done. Instead of sleeping, I would just stay up until, 5 a.m. working on things. And anytime you're doing that, the work you're doing is not usually going to be your best work. So it wasn't a great situation. So it's kind of nice that my workspace is now like across the building from where I'm sleeping. I think that's a lot healthier for me.
Ah, I love that. I love it, love it, love it. Yeah, that's so amazing. And when I talk about it all the time, with spaces, and I know it's hard when the spaces are tiny, but when people want to put an office like in their bedroom, and I'm like, ooh, like let's rethink that. Yeah, totally. So this beautiful Ink Witch tarot deck, tell us about the inspiration it came from, how you got started. I'm just showing everyone your cards and how unbelievably gorgeous they are.
It's kind of weird because when I started it, I didn't really plan on ever finishing it. I was doing an art challenge to just design the major arcana for just a fun art thing. I've always really liked tarot and been an artist for a really long time, and those things have a really nice through section. And so I just wanted to design the major cards as kind of an art challenge for myself. And then when I finished it, a bunch of people reached out to me like on Instagram and Facebook and were kind of like, where are the rest of these? Like, why did you stop posting these cards? When are you making the rest? And I kind of had this moment of like, oh, other people want this and I kind of want to make more of them. I was having a fun time. So about a year later, practically, I did another art challenge where I kind of picked it back up. I worked on more of the cards, and then I just didn't stop working on it until it was finished. So it came kind of unexpectedly. I didn't ever plan on making a finished tarot deck, but I'm really glad that I did. And a lot of the artwork is inspired by mythology and folklore and fairy tales. There's also this modern element. I wanted to kind of inject this idea that there is magic in folklore and mythology and fairy tales, but there's also magic in just these kind of mundane things in your life, like going and getting coffee with a friend, or driving to your home or your family, those kinds of things. Just these kind of like normal everyday things. I wanted to sort of pinpoint that there's like a mystical quality to those.
Yeah, absolutely. I know. Yeah, here's the chariot. Yeah, driving home with the cat on top.
It's a drawing of my car.
Is it?
It is.
So good. Yeah, I love it. And why did you choose this medium? Is this the medium that you like to work in, watercolor?
It is, yeah. I started it for like the very beginning of it was going to be for this art challenge that people do in October called Inktober, where for each day of October they make a piece with ink, and they're usually kind of in black and white or grayscale color palettes. But I like using ink and watercolor already. That's why I started doing that challenge in the first place. So when I decided that I did want to make an entire full tarot deck, I wound up just sticking with that medium and that color palette because it's one that I really like and I'm comfortable with.
Yeah, they're beautiful. And then the color palette, yes. Can you tell us a bit about the color palette?
Yeah. So like I said, since it was all ink, a lot of the times just traditionally for that particular art challenge, people would use just like a black marker.
Okay.
I wanted to do something a little bit more than that. So I used kind of a range of warm and cool grays that kind of read, the cool grays kind of have sort of like a blue tint to them.
Mm-hmm.
The warm grays have kind of like a sepia, almost like a brown color to them. And then just to kind of make it a little bit more interesting, I added some really subtle, very occasional hints of color, like the Empress card has a little bit of green in it. Death has red in it. The color palette I felt like was also kind of helpful to just keep it cohesive, because I feel like I sort of have a hard time keeping my my like technical style all matching.
Yeah. Yeah.
So having like a color palette that was going to be the same from one card to the next sort of helped it all fit together in a way that I was worried it wouldn't if the colors weren't all the same.
Right. No, I totally feel you. I feel like I do that when I like write stuff. I'll like start with cursive and then I start doing caps and it's like, oh my God, this is like a total mess. But yeah, the color totally brings it all together for sure, especially because you're going through different time frames. I mean, you've got like Joan of Arc here, and then we've got, coffee cups that are with plastic and straws and stuff. And it's like, these are totally two different, time frames, but they work really well because of the color palette.
Yeah, I felt like that, like just aside from the artwork, my style kind of tends to change from day to day sometimes. But since I wanted to kind of be taking inspiration from a pretty weird and broad range of things, I felt like that was going to be sort of a safe way to keep it from feeling like the cards were coming from a bunch of different tarot decks and just being meshed together.
Yeah, no, it's really beautiful. And the last time we spoke, you did not have a guidebook, and I noticed that you have created that.
I have. When I made the deck originally, I was worried that no one was really going to like it except for me, which is silly because people had specifically asked me to finish it. So I knew that there were people out there who would like it, but I was trying to keep costs really, really low just because I thought there was a very good chance it was something that I would lose money producing, but I wanted to produce it anyway. I really wanted to have it. But because I was trying to keep costs low, I didn't want it to print a guidebook for it at the time, and it follows like the Wade Smith style of the tarot deck pretty closely. All of the cards at least have the same names. So it's something that if you're familiar with tarot, you don't really need a guidebook for it anyway. If you're not familiar with tarot, then any guidebook that explains the Wade Smith cards will work for it. But once the deck did actually start showing up and people actually did care about it, and it wasn't just for me, a bunch of people really wanted a guidebook. And I'd kind of say, well, you can use any guidebook. It's just the Wade Smith cards. Like any guidebook will work for it. And I was continuously getting people who were like, no, I want to know about your art choices specifically. Like, I know what the cards mean. I just want to know why you drew them. So, which that meant a lot. I was really flattered that anyone would care enough to want to know, or to let me talk to them about my art, I guess. So I did end up making a guidebook, and I'm really glad that I did. It was nice to be able to share my thoughts for each and every card in the deck. They all mean something special to me. So getting to write those down and knowing that people were interested in them felt very nice.
Yeah, absolutely. People want to know like how this, these things became what they are and why you chose, the symbols that you took. And yeah, they're just gorgeous. So the guidebook, it's sold separately. So if anyone that has the deck can purchase that.
Yeah, it's sold separately if you want a hard copy of it, but I also put a downloadable PDF on my website that you can download for free, whether you bought the deck or not. So it's something that's there if you are like thinking, if somebody were to see pictures of the deck and think, oh, that sounds nice, but I don't know if it's for me, they could go and download that and get a better sense of what all of the cards are, what they mean, and why they look the way they do.
Yeah, what a cool offering. That's really neat that you're able to do that. I love that. Thank you I'll have to check it out. I definitely want to see what your take is like on all these cards, because I've been playing with your deck and I've been pulling it on several of the episodes. And I just love getting the perspective of, the artist, what was going on or what you thought of when you were, creating the cards and why you chose what you chose, which is, always really, really special. So I noticed that you're creating a Oracle deck. Is that right?
Yeah, I'm working on an Oracle deck now that I'm really excited for. Last year I made a Lenormand deck, and it kind of got me interested in Oracle cards. I didn't really know anything about Oracle cards at all until like a year ago. It's very different than how it went with tarot, where I'd been like casually reading tarot for myself and my friends for several years before I started making a deck. But I kind of started learning about Oracle cards through the Lenormand deck, and then learning more about them just because I wanted to make one. I got talking to another tarot person on Instagram named Denise Schmitz, and she was telling me about these things called murioramas, which are like a set of pictures that all can connect side by side.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they form different panoramas, and they were just kind of like a novelty toy, like in the 19th century, I think. But she was talking about how it's weird that they've never really been made into a tarot oracle type of thing. And as I was learning about them and learning about oracle decks, I was like, that's something I really want to have and I really want to use. And as far as I could tell, it doesn't really exist out there in the world yet. There are some tarot and oracle decks I found that have maybe elements that will line up together. And there are definitely people using muriorama cards for divination. But I couldn't really find an oracle deck that was a muriorama. And so I had to make one.
Yeah.
In the process of making it now, which has been a lot of fun, but has a lot of technical elements to it that are very different from the tarot deck that I've already made. So I've kind of simultaneously been learning about oracle decks and also how to make a muriorama work, and then combining those things. It's been a weird but very fun process.
Yeah, that's so amazing. I absolutely love that. I can't. So what's the theme of the oracle deck? What do you have happening there? I noticed it's almost very fairy tale like.
Yeah. So my idea for it came from, I feel like a lot of the strength of the tarot deck is that it works in a very narrative way. If you're doing spreads, if you're just pulling a card, it's maybe a little bit different. But when you're doing spreads, I kind of feel like it has this really narrative element to it where you're almost kind of telling or discovering a story. And so with this oracle deck, that was something that I really wanted to be consciously aware of and mindful of and intentionally using as I constructed the deck. So I kind of had broken the deck down into these categories of like events and characters and places, and then all of the cards have one or more of those things happening on them. So it does feel a lot like a fairy tale or like a King Arthur legend, where you kind of have knights and sorcerers and,
Yeah.
mountains and all of these elements that are archetypes that we see in things like tarot already, just kind of being put into this narrative. So that hopefully when people use those cards, it will feel kind of like they are being told a story.
Yeah, absolutely. I pulled this one because I feel like this has a lot of those feelings.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I'm like, oh. And I remember even seeing this card, and I think I may even mention it to you. It's like, I just want to go there. And it's like, I feel like you've created like a whole world.
Thank you. I feel like that showed up a few times working on the tarot deck, and I had fun doing that kind of thing. So my goal for this oracle deck is that every card will feel like a place you could go, or maybe a place that you already have been before.
I love it. I'm like really wanting to know about this oracle deck. Is there a certain card that you are really having fun with? Like what are you like digging right now?
There's been a few that have been particularly fun for me. I'll show you guys the art right here. I wanted to do a card that I've been calling the Herald, and my idea is that it would be to represent maybe announcements or arrivals, that kind of thing. That it would just kind of have like this message of something incoming. And when I started working on it, I had been drawing a lot of people lately and was just kind of tired of drawing people. My original idea for the card was to do like somebody on horseback blowing a trumpet, but I was tired of drawing people, and so just kind of on a weird whim, I decided that I was gonna draw a swan instead of a person, a herald. So I drew the swan, and I put a rainbow in the sky, which they're associated with the goddess Iris, who is like a messenger goddess. Same with the irises on the ground. So I decided to draw this swan. I posted the picture online, and a bunch of people told me that there is a thing that like a type of swan called trumpeting swans, which I didn't even know about when I started drawing it. So I was really happy that that was a thing, because I was thinking, like, I want to draw the swan. It's going to be a swan, but people aren't going to know why. They're going to wonder why it's a swan. And literally, it's just because I wanted it to be. So I was kind of glad that there turned out to be something that can be like, oh, yeah, it's a trumpeting swan.
Of
That's
course. I knew it all along.
So that's been my favorite card to make so far, I think.
That's so rad. I love that you have the actual watercolor there. So what is your process? Are you drawing everything by hand on paper?
Yeah, so it's all done traditionally. I'm sure that some amount of digital editing will happen afterwards.
Right.
To make sure everything stays clean and formatted correctly. But it's all done traditionally. I have paper, and I kind of trace out where the card goes. I made a little stencil for myself that's the right dimensions, and it has marks on it for like where I need to make sure certain elements are going to line up so that all of the cards will form these cohesive panoramas. So I just kind of send out all of those marks, and I make sure that the edges are always filled in black so that like the edges of the card will be able to line up. Here's another one that I have, so you can just kind of see side by side.
Wow. Okay.
Overlap into each other. So I kind of start by going from the outside edges inward as best as I can, just to help make sure everything's lining up correctly.
Yeah. So is this story linear? Is it going all the way?
I suppose that's up to the people who use it, but the cards do line up linear. I think you could maybe, I'm interested to see how people will end up using it, because I think you could do some cool things maybe by making different sort of timelines out of different, having multiple linear narratives.
Oh, it's super rad. I love it. And how long is it taking you to create each card? Or is it kind of just a very thing?
It really varies from card to card. I've had some that I spent days and days on, and then I finish them and I don't like them, and I think, okay, I'm just going to have to start over and try again. And then I have others where I sit down with my idea and I finish in like a couple of hours, and it's great, and I'm done. And so some of them are like super easy, others just take forever. And I found that that was the same sort of situation that I had when I was doing the tarot deck, when I was doing the Norman deck. And I think that that's just kind of the nature of these things. Some are going to come to you really naturally, really quickly, and your hands are going to be able to put the thoughts onto paper well the first time, and then other times it's just going to take you a million tries and several days.
Oh my gosh. And then are you putting words on each one of those cards?
I think I'm just going to put like a title on each card, but I don't think I want to do, I haven't made up my mind yet, but I don't think I really want to do keywords on the cards. I know a lot of Oracle decks do, and a lot of the Oracle decks that I use that I like do, but I think I want the deck to be used really intuitively, and I really want it to be something that people can sort of sit down and imagine those narrative stories, like I was saying earlier, and not be too influenced by my words. Each card kind of has some intention behind it and what I want the card to represent. But if somebody else looks at the image and gets something different, I would want them to go with their intuitive impression of the card versus my own influence that might be given to them if there were keywords on the card.
Yeah. So my next question is, are you going to have a guidebook?
There will definitely be a guidebook this time. I think that with a deck like this, there has to be. With a tarot deck, it felt like just kind of a nice addition to the deck.
Yeah.
That since this is all just made up by myself and not something that has existed for a few hundred years, I think that I will definitely have a guidebook with it.
Amazing, amazing. So one of the questions I always ask is there a practice or what is your ritual with, grounding and centering yourself? Or is there a practice that you're really enjoying right now that you would like to share with us?
I don't think I have real specific like rituals or meditations or anything that I do before I start working on my card, but it is very much my job as much as I enjoy it. I'm a full-time artist. That's what I do to pay the bills. And so I do have the rituals that are just like my work rituals. Like I often get up and I try not to start my day real suddenly or real quickly. I'll make a cup of coffee, I'll eat breakfast, and then sit down and answer the emails and those kinds of things before I actually start working on artwork. And I think that it has kind of become sort of ritualistic for me. I feel like it is weirdly grounding in a way to sort of ease into the creation of that art. Every now and then, though, I do have those days where it's just like I'm cleaning dishes and then suddenly I'm inspired and have to stop what I'm doing and run to the other room and start working on something. And that doesn't feel like a ritual or a practice, but it does kind of feel like I'm suddenly getting something.
Yeah, that's really cool. I love it. And so what's next for you? What's brewing? What's happening? Is it just really focusing on this Oracle deck?
It started out as really focusing on the Oracle deck. I set out trying to finish that sometime this summer, and that wasn't realistic. It's not going to be finished this summer. I'm hoping for fall now. But I had set out with this plan that this was going to be like my project for the year. But learning about Oracle decks gave me ideas for dozens of other Oracle decks, and I eventually want to do another tarot deck that's more colorful than Inkwitch. I really like Inkwitch, and I don't want to replace it in any kind of way, but I think it'd be fun to make something different. It's still a tarot deck. I really enjoy tarot. It's my first love as far as this kind of thing goes. So I am, since starting the Oracle deck, come up with like 5 other projects that I'm just trying to keep on the back burner. The other day, my boyfriend just kind of casually put this idea in my head. He said something about he had found a picture of a board game online that reminded him of my art style, and said, you'd probably be really good at making a board game. And then I immediately came up with ideas for board games and what I could make a board game. And now I feel like I have to make a board game someday.
Of course. Of course. That sounds like a fantastic idea. I'm down for it. I mean, who doesn't love a board game? Oh my God, it'd be so amazing. And how gorgeous would it be? Ugh.
There's just not enough time in the day to do 5 Oracle decks in a board game. So I'm trying to pace myself, and I'll get there eventually, but my main priority right now is the Oracle deck.
Amazing. I love it. And then, of course, we need to know how to get a hold of you. So, all this will be in the show notes, but I would love for you to share in case anyone's just listening and not looking at those notes.
Yeah. So I have a website. It's ericmaille.com. And my last name is spelled weird. It's Maille, but ericmaille.com. I post a lot of my art there. Once I have completed projects, it's also got my store and links to a bunch of other stuff. My Instagram is my last name backwards, the 6, and I'm on Instagram probably more than anywhere else.
I feel like I can always get a hold of you there. Like you're always so sharp to get back.
I live on Instagram in an unfortunate capacity.
Yeah. Leslie says your cards and your vision and light are so inspiring.
Oh,
yeah.
Thank you.
Absolutely. And Julie had mentioned that castle card, that it reminded her of Narnia, and you just got these other beautiful comments of gorgeous. I love it. So yeah, it's so beautiful. All right, let's pull some cards. So if you have a question, you're welcome to unmute yourself and or put it in the chat. I'll put the chat up on my screen so that I can see who's commenting. Just put your question in or unmute yourself.
I just wanted to see if there were any messages from my guides. Just kind of open-ended question tonight.
All right, Kelly. Oh, we've got the 5. What is this? Oh, the 8 of Cups. So this is moving. This is moving forward. This is moving beyond. This is leveling up. This is leaving stuff behind. That again, I think we've probably pulled this card with you before. Of like, it's like turning your back, leaving something behind that you might have been building, and it, at some point, sometimes we feel guilty because it's like we've put all this energy, we put all this work into this one thing, and now I'm turning my back on it. Now I'm going into another direction. But whenever I see this card, I'm always thinking of you're leveling up, you're going towards something that's much more fulfilling, something that's going to fulfill you on a deeper level. A lot of times it's on a more spiritual level. So don't feel bad about having to leave something behind and move forward.
That makes a lot of sense, actually. I appreciate that. Thank you.
You're welcome. Eric, do you have anything you want to add?
I love that you said that card is like leveling up, because I very much feel like that is a card of moving on and going to something new. But something that I always feel like I get from that card is that just because you're leaving things behind doesn't mean that they aren't something that's helping to push you forward. And that's exactly what leveling up is kind of letting go of this past. But in that process of letting it go, you don't have to just completely forget that it happened. It's still going to be one of the forces that's driving you forward.
Yeah, totally. It's so part of your journey. All right, we've got a question from Jennifer. Oh, sorry, Kelly.
Oh, thank you. Just saying thank you.
Oh, you're so welcome. All right, so we've got a question from Jennifer. She writes, what's coming up for me in the space of financial flow and abundance? Oh, you got the cups too. Lots of cups happening here. 3 of cups. So what's coming in the space of financial flow and abundance? So these cups are sharing, this beautiful life force energy, this water. So I would say that what's coming to you is just this generosity from other people that are wanting to support you, people that are in your inner circle that want to see you succeed, and they're pouring life and they're pouring love and all these things into your cup. So what I would say is like really reach out to your support, reach out to the people that raise you up, the people that make you feel good, the people that really see the light that you have to bring, because that's where you're going to get the inspiration. That's where you're going to get that energy to move forward and to just shine brighter. That's beautiful. And Eric, you're welcome to chime in whenever you're feeling something.
That was great.
I'll just have you like on my sideline.
I've said better myself.
All right, so iPhone number 2. I'm not sure who that is. Someone is chiming in on their phone. Maybe it's Becky. But let's see. Message from my spirit guides. Getting ready for the next step with interviewing for my promotion. All right, let's see what we got for you. Next step with your interview. More cups. Oh, this is the 6 of cups. So for you, this is about connecting with the pieces of you that I'm seeing just past experiences. So they're really looking for experience in this promotion or in this interview. They want to know what you've done in the past to propel yourself forward or to help others. They really want to hear about the past and the experiences that you are bringing to the table. So that's really going to connect you with them on this other level. I already have a sense that they're really attracted to you and they really want to learn more with you. They want to get into a deeper relationship, but they also want to know, they just want to know more about you. I don't know if that makes sense. They're really connecting with you on a I don't want to say personal level, but it is more of a personal, softer energy for you. So I wouldn't be afraid to open up, maybe share some things that may be a little bit more vulnerable or sharing pieces of you that you normally might not share. I mean, don't, overshare, but there's pieces of you that I just keep hearing attracted to, if that makes sense.
6 of Cups always has like a really kind of youthful, like playful, use the word vulnerability, which I think is really good. To like, maybe you talked about sort of looking back at past experiences, and a lot of the times with job interviews, they want to know about your professional past experiences. And this, I feel like, could be telling you to not be afraid of opening yourself up and talking about things from your personal life and your childhood and things that have happened to you outside of the professional world that still might be relevant and make you more available to them as a human being, that it's soulful and coming from the heart.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I just love that you said that human aspect, the heart aspect, for sure. And experiences not just in the workplace. Absolutely. All right, Jamie, yours is here. In regards to my human design chat earlier today, what is my main blockage to getting the thing I want? Did I say that right, Jamie? Okay. Oh yeah, your main blockages to getting what you want. Okay, so what's blocking you? Oh, the Five of Swords. What I'm seeing here, what's blocking you is communication. So Five of Swords comes in a lot of times when there's miscommunication or we're eating our words or we're not able to get the words out. Yeah, I would say the main block is opening this up, throat chakra for sure, and being able to connect with people through your words in a way that lands right, because sometimes our words can come out and they just fall flat or they're more dagger-like and it's not what you are meaning. Like people are receiving it in a more sharp way, if that makes sense. So maybe softening the way you're speaking. I'm almost seeing you almost like seducing them. You know what I mean? Like bringing that, like seducing them in this way that's sweet and honey-like versus like the sharp pingy thing. Like you don't have to be right. Like that's one thing too, like almost like make them feel like they're right, or turn it a little bit so that they feel like they're in the right, or there's a way to maneuver it. It's a very seductive maneuvering that you can do. And it can work for both of you, but there's just this dance that you kind of have to do.
I was just going to say, I don't know if you're familiar with the story or not, but the picture on this card is from a Norse myth that I really like about the wolf Fenrir.
I don't know.
Fenrir is a really terrifying wolf that grows rapidly from a pup to a giant monster wolf. And the gods are afraid of him, even though he's kind of amongst them. He's one of their own, but they're kind of scared of this monster that they feel like he's becoming. So they pull this trick on him where they gradually give him different chords to try and break out of, to like prove how strong he is. And he can break out of all of them. He's incredibly powerful. And eventually they bring him one that looks really fragile, but is actually enchanted to keep him trapped in a cave forever. And it's this story where Fenrir feels like he's friends with these gods, but they're all afraid of him. They end up deceiving him in a really ugly way. And so I feel like a lot of the times this card has to do with not necessarily betrayal, but like what Rachel was saying about that sense of kind of maybe being misunderstood and using your that throat chakra and the way that you communicate with other people in a really productive. Rachel used the phrase kind of a seductive way. I think that was really on point. But in case you didn't know about that story, I thought it might be relevant in some kind of way, showing up here.
Thank you. And you said Venmir?
Fenrir.
Fenrir.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. I will look that up again, but all of that we both said hit really good. So thank you.
Awesome. Thanks, Jamie. All right, let's see who we've got. Rebecca, what can I do to bring in some healing within the next month? Okay. We've got a card for healing for Rebecca. This is the Nine of Wands. So what I'm seeing with this card as far as healing goes, this is going to be about you. I'm just hearing getting help, getting other people to pitch in, maybe a little bit of delegation. But right now what I'm seeing whenever I get this card is always about like being on the brink of burnout, being in a space of being overworked, burning the candle at both ends. So look and see like where can you maybe give up some duties, or who you can ask to come in and take some of the workload, because you definitely are needing some healing this next month. This is just a lot of fire happening. It's a lot of just strenuous, work. So for you, I would also just think about like what helps you. I'm hearing the words cool down. What helps you soften? What helps you not get so. And the other thing I'm feeling is just like heat, like this heat and maybe temper or anger or any of that stuff that's coming up, or resentment. There's energy that's coming up, and it's like, how can we slow this down? How can we release it? You know, releasing it back into the earth, going out into the ocean, releasing it into the ocean. I know you might have your own practices for just soothing yourself.
This card always feels like kind of a last leg of a journey type of message to me. So that soothing yourself feels really relevant. It's always like when you're at the very end of something that feels really arduous and heavy, that you want to try and power through it, that you want to try and be really tough about it. And sometimes it's important, even though you need to stay strong about things, it's important to also like remember to care for yourself and your needs, even though you're reaching a finish line, metaphoric or otherwise. You can't forget to, you know, in that process, you could still take it slowly. You could still pause and take care of yourself.
Yeah, and I'm glad you mentioned that, Eric, because the Nine of Wands is about, you know, coming close to that end. Like there is light at the end of the tunnel. You know, it can't keep going forever. So, all right, Carrie, general card. Yes, let's just pull a card for Carrie and see what comes through. Carrie is another beautiful tarot creator. She has the Marakai tarot deck and a radiant crystal card deck, which is really cool. All right. Ace of Cups. Oh, I love this card because it's just like that blessings card of just like an overshowering of blessings and receiving and just gratitude, just plain old gratitude and just being in the space to receive. And I love that. I feel like these two people are sharing in this cup, and one's giving it to the other. I don't know what the story is behind it. And Eric, you could tell us what the story is, but it's just this sharing of gratitude from what I'm seeing.
I don't think there was really any other story to this particular card. Some of the stories like that Six of Swords or some of the cards do have specific stories, but this one's just those feelings you described, being kind of like sharing in a gift of love and affection with other people, or maybe even with yourself. But that feeling of warmth and gratitude.
Yeah, for sure. All right, Julie, do you want the general card as well? Yeah, you're welcome. Julie, you got the Three of Pentacles. Oh, this is a beautiful card for you, Julie. This is the card of collaboration and coming together with others and being recognized and people just like honoring you and seeing the gifts that you're giving. And it's just that beautifulness. Julie was with me at a New Moon Circle that we had here in Encinitas, just north of San Diego. And she was playing the bowls for us and her chimes, and it was just a really beautiful presence having Julie with us. So I feel like we're all just kind of looking at you and being in gratitude and thanking you for the gifts that you have been sharing with us in our community. So thank you, Julie. All right, Deborah, what did Spirit want me to know? Okay. And Jennifer, and I think Becky, I think that's you, an iPhone, says thank you. Or just so come. Okay, Deborah. Oh, you got the Hangman. Okay, so whenever I pull this card, it's always about sort of taking a pause, or maybe you're being in limbo at the moment. But I also see this as looking at things from a different perspective, so not acting right away. So if there's a situation that you're in where something's a little bit wonky, we are in, that eclipse season. So I would just take a moment before taking any action and looking at things from a different perspective, looking at it from another person's perspective, and just pausing. And Eric, I feel like you have a story behind this one.
I do, yeah. This one's actually Norse also. This drawing is supposed to be of Odin, who there's a story about him going through a really horrible process of sacrificing himself on the world tree. And he goes through a lot of suffering to do it, but he's kind of revived at the end of the sacrifice with all of this new knowledge and power. So the reason I chose that image for this card, aside from the Hanged Man often just being associated with Odin, I feel like oftentimes you get that new perspective and that like change in perspective and that change in the power that we have available to us. It often comes after a period of sacrifice. We often have to go through a little bit of a hard time or get something in order to reach that point where we understand things more clearly or differently than we did before.
Thank you. It makes total sense. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Thanks, Toby. All right, Gina. Will this spring/summer be a good time for me to be in the financial work realm? Maybe in the business we have realm. Okay, let's see. Ooh, we've got the 7 of Cups. So this is options, opportunities for sure. So Gina, you're going to be approached with opportunities. You're going to be approached with different, no another word for opportunities. You're going to be approached. You're going to get multiple offers, I would say, or multiple ways of doing something, or multiple options towards you. And whenever I get this card, I'm always like, don't go after the first, bright and shiny thing. Like, look a little bit deeper, make sure that what's there is really going to do what it's saying they're going to do, and that there's substance, right? There's support behind it. It's always about digging deeper. And the 7s a lot of times are like illusion, smoke and mirrors, and that kind of thing. So just make sure that you're doing your due diligence in the research of all of it. But there are doors opening for you, and there's multiple things or directions that you can go into. Leslie, any guidance relative to manifesting some big changes in any general message? Okay, let's see what we've got for you, Leslie. Big changes in your world. Justice. You got the Justice card. So Leslie, for you, it's your drive is really going to be about the things that you're passionate about, the things that you believe strongly for. So I would definitely be following your heart, following your gut, following that intuition that brings you, into your work. And a lot of this too might just give you you might be doing things on a deeper level, really connecting to your core values. So the things that really drive you are going to be in that space. So I would say follow that, just let that guide you in these changes that you've got coming. Eric, do you have any other?
The core values thing, I feel like I always really, really feel that emphasis from the Justice card. I feel like this card is always guidance to do what is right, what is just, really lean into the things that you think are important to you.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
I like that. Thank you both so much.
No, you're welcome. I'm glad to hear that you're here, Leslie. I know you're not feeling well, and I'm sending you lots of love.
And I feel better. This is really great. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Marcy, what might help me recommit to my creative work? The Pentacles. This is that balance, Marcy. So the balance between, life and your work life, personal life, work life, separating the two so that, and the thing that I'm seeing here, you want to reconnect with your creative work. I'm seeing you step away a little bit, being really in the moment with your day-to-day, your personal stuff, and just be present for that and kind of put away the creative stuff and then set time aside to just fully indulge into the creative space. Maybe create almost like an experience for you to get into that creative space, whatever that looks like. I'm just seeing these two different worlds kind of separate and diving into each individually, kind of what we were talking about with Eric when, having these two separate spaces, right? Like really separating them out so that you're not intermixing them, so that you can be super, super excited when you're in the workspace to get those creative juices flowing and also creating that environment. It could be your actual office space that you work in, really making it inspiring for you and making it a space that you feel good to be in so that you can be there. And also the people that you're working with. That's the other thing too, is making sure that who you're working with. I know you're independent, so just making sure that your clients are the people that you want to work with and that you feel inspired to be with versus, just taking on people because you feel like you have to.
This is not really coming from the Two of Pentacles, but just my input on this as a creative myself. I have often found that when I'm having a hard time connecting to my creative work, something that's really good for me is to digest the creative work of other people, to kind of step away from my own work, to be really willing to just put it aside for a little bit, which is hard to do, but to be really willing to just kind of put it off to the side, not worry about it right now, and go to a museum or go to an art festival or something where other people are producing work that that I can take in from some source other than myself.
Oh, that's so good. Yes, I'm so glad that you mentioned that. Absolutely. Because sometimes I forget that, right? It's like, oh yeah, I could actually be admiring some other people's stuff and not have to be the one to like produce it all.
It's very easy to get so just consumed by your work, whether it's creative work or not. But I feel like with creative work, it comes from usually a really personal place. It takes a lot of emotional energy. It takes a lot of like intellectual, just like mental stamina to produce. But you don't want to be completely separated from art or whatever kind of creative thing you do. So that's why I feel like it's often a good idea to look at other people's stuff, because then you can be separated from your work for a while and still be like doing this creative thing. It's very healthy for me, at least.
Oh, that's so good. I love that you shared that. That's spot on for sure. And Marcy's just like nodding and like, yes, so she gets it. She's right there with us. All right, Jeriana, what does the universe want me to know about my job and work? All right, let's see what we've got. Ooh, the devil. What do they want me to know? Okay, so the devil card is that card of Capricorn, right? So that's that card of like being so bound and tied to the work that you're almost become a prisoner to it, right? So what do they want you to know is that it's okay to untie the binds a little bit. It's okay to not be completely consumed by it. And it's also okay to indulge in it a little bit, right? So it's like if you do want to get super into your work and put in the extra hours and do all the things, just making sure that you're balancing it. I feel like there's another theme here with this balance and of then over consuming into, the space of pleasure and, playing with the devil in that way and getting tempted into those spaces, versus just work. Cause it's not all about work. I also see with the devil card is that pleasure space. So giving your space for that.
A lot of the times when the double card shows up for me when I'm reading for myself, I'll take it as like permission to do things that are maybe not always great for me, but right now I kind of get to enjoy those things. It might also, when I read for other people, which isn't often, but when I read for other people, I'll kind of tell them to like step back and just objectively try and look at your life. Ask yourself if you are overindulging in things or underindulging, because I feel like the devil shows up when one of those two things are happening. Is it time to kind of like reel in a little bit and take things more seriously and back off of these like guilty pleasures, or is it time to really lean into them and just enjoy yourself and stop worrying too much about what is expected of you or what you're supposed to be doing and do the things that just feel good to do?
Yeah, the devil card's one of my favorite
Too.
It's like, what am I going to get tempted into today? Yeah.
Thank you. That makes sense though, because I'm trying to take a little bit more time off of work because I usually don't get to when I have my trip coming up in New York soon. So tomorrow I'm going to ask for a little bit more time off. So, because I'm only taking one day, right?
Yeah, that definitely sounds like underindulgence.
Yeah, so take some more time.
Right.
Have a little bit more fun for sure. All right, did we get everybody? I think so. Yeah, you guys are so welcome. Thanks, Becky and Jamie, Leslie, all of you guys. Thank you so much. And don't forget to check out Eric's stuff. Of course, all his things will be in the show notes, and you guys have his links and stuff. So thank you, Eric, for indulging in this.
Well, it was my pleasure. Thank you guys so much for letting me join in, hang out and talk.
Yeah, we love it. We love it. Love it. Well, we can't wait till your Oracle deck comes out in hopefully the fall, and then I'll have to get that deck, and then I'll have to have you come on.
It was fun.
I mean, and the board game. Yes, Leslie's like, and the board game. All right, take care.
Thank you guys.
Bye. You've been listening to the Holistic Interior Design Business podcast. If it's one that you have been enjoying, please share with anyone else that you think can benefit from this knowledge, and leave us a 5-star review that helps us get seen and found by other new and aspiring interior designers. And if you're looking for mentorship, I invite you to join our club here at the Design Coven. It's a bridge between school and real life interior design. We get in much deeper there. We have virtual and in-person events, so everyone is welcome. You don't need to have a design degree to be part of it, just an interest in holistic interior design. I also want to thank our editor, Marcy Ferry, and lastly, Kinseth Thibodeau, who is our music composer. Until next time, be well, and we will see each other soon.